Hello everyone, Charles from the Bible Unbound. And what I have today is something I've been waiting to look at for a little while. This is the Holman Christian Standard Bible, Note-Taking Bible with expanded references. So what we have is a note-taking Bible from Holman, and they have a little bit of a different take than most of the note-taking Bibles that I've seen. I love the way they've laid this out. So this actually comes in a really nice little slipcover that I think once you take it in and out a couple of times will become much easier to get out. So this is a beautiful kind of leather touch over board. So it's a very thin synthetic leather over the top of a hardcover. Now I like the design on this. It's nice and clean with these blind stamped 3 spine hubs, Christian Standard Bible logo, Holy Bible, Christian Standard Bible, and Holman on the bottom. And this really nice kind of not quite cross design on the front that's blind stamped in. And the coloring on that is very, very pretty. I do like this kind of a leather soft over board. I had a couple of these reference Bibles that are a cloth overboard, and this kind of leather overboard looks really good. And this gilding, it's kind of a bold gold gilding all the way around. That looks beautiful. And there are 2 ribbon markers. Let me see if I can pull the ribbon markers out easily here. 1 and 2. So that one was tucked in the opposite direction. So let me get this out without damaging anything. So it comes 2 ribbon markers. So they're both brown, but one's a little bit darker. And these are shiny on both sides. So these look like a double-sided ribbon. That's just a little over 1/4 inch ribbons, which are pretty nice. So let's take a look on the inside here as we open this up. It's very nice, you know, it's a paste in all the way around. Looks pretty sharp. Nice thick page before the presentation page. So this is a nice slightly off-white, which I think is actually more readable. And it hurts your eyes a little bit less when you're looking at it for a long period of time. I do like that some of these are going to this kind of eggshell sort of color instead of a bright crisp white. And I think these actually take a little bit better to pin when some of the note-taking Bibles I've seen. So you have your presentation page, Note-Taking Bible, the Expanded Reference Edition. Take a look at your copyright page. So this has 4 different types. So the leather touch over board, a cream suede, a floral cloth, and a deep sea leather touch. First printing in 2024. So this is a really new printing on this. So your nice standard table of contents, your books of the Bible on your Old and New Testament. And I like they have the page numbers and the actual, these are make it easier to find the cross references. They're usually what they're using for the shortening of them. It goes to the introduction to the Christian Standard Bible. So on this preface, you'll hear me say it on all prefaces to read it at least one time so you get a better idea of how they're actually doing their translation. You open this up, other commonly used abbreviations, then into the Old Testament. Now as we open it up, you'll notice this not only has the line on the sides for the note taking, it has extra lines along the top. So it gives you that extra space. There isn't a lot of room in the gutters, but this being a 9-point font is actually a little bit larger than some. And the format is a little bit wider, but I really like how that they have the expanded note-taking section all the way around. So it's not just on the sides, they have the top. And it kind of pushes the text down a little bit. And the text is really nice out of the gutter. So I have a feeling as we go a little bit farther in, you'll notice that that text is really, really readable. And nice, crisp font. It doesn't look like it's completely line matched, but I believe for the majority, it's as close to line matching as I can see. The only time I'm not seeing it is down in the references, so it does look like it is line matched. Lightly darker bold numbers for each of the chapter numbers, And the actual verse numbers are just about as big as a normal text. And as a paragraph, it would seem like it would be a little hard to see any of them within the paragraphs, but this looks like it is a verse by verse, which will make things a lot easier to see here. Yes, this is a verse by verse. So it's nice, clean, that little bit with the verse numbers not being as easy to see or in more of a bold. Being a verse by verse format, it still is easier to pick out your verses. And this might actually make it a little easier to take notes if each verse is separated. So that way you can like draw a line to it, put your note on the side. It's a pretty nice option. I do like this. And we'll go through. This is a straight note taking, nothing really extra. Nice line on the bottom before you get any of your textual footnotes. And then all of the cross references are down in your lower right hand corner. Now these are supposed to have expanded cross references, which means there's a little bit more than your normal typical cross references in those cross reference fields. Very clean, very nice. I do like this. This color is starting to actually, I'm starting to like it a lot more. One of the other note-taking Bibles I have has this nice cream color, and it looks really well. You could probably see it with this white background. There is definitely a difference in that. And it's supposed to make it a little bit less eye strain. And I think on certain colors of pins that you use, it actually causes them to pop out a little bit more, which would be nice. There is show through. It's not substantial, but especially with page text on the other side of the page, it does show up. So I have a feeling, depending on how dark of a pin you use, it may not completely bleed through, but since the references are on the side, mainly where you're writing, it's not going to bleed into the text. Now the interleaved Bible that I have, it is a beautiful idea to have a blank page in between each of the pages of text, but you're still writing in that area that your text will be. So when you lay the next page of text down on there, it kind of shows through just like your normal typical writing would be. So that could be distracting to some, but other people that would do something like maybe put a sheet of paper underneath there to be able to isolate that. Because some of the older Bibles I have that are slightly cheaper print, where there's a lot of show through, the only real way to read some of the smaller note print is to actually put a piece of paper or something underneath it in order to enhance that readability in there. So going ahead, we're going to take a look at a poetic section to see how they handle that. So as we get into the Psalms, this verse by verse formatting makes everything look pretty much the same as when you're not in the Psalms. It's pretty clean, still very readable, and I do like how easy it is on a verse by verse to be able to do your note taking. I never really thought about using a verse by verse for note taking. I've always loved paragraph reading ones, but I think if you're taking notes, having those verses isolated will actually help improve, finding your notes and finding where you had taken those notes. I think that is part of the reason why most pastors and preaching Bibles are a verse by verse format, because it makes it so much easier to go directly to that page and find that verse versus trying to find the specific verse inside of a paragraph. So I think that's what could be a challenge. I don't know how well that lines up when you have preachers' Bibles that might be a verse by verse, but the actual pew Bibles are in paragraph. So I think as long as the page numbers line up, it might be easy just to get the rest of the congregation on the same page, literally. And we go back into the Psalms. I wanted to take a look and see how they handled 119. Yep. So the word study in 119, it looks like it's still in there with each of the letters going through in the alphabet. It's very, very nice. I do like that. And as we go back into the New Testament, realize when we look at the back, it actually said that it was not a red letter. And from what I'm seeing, it is not a red letter text. But one of the benefits of the CSB, if there is a direct quotation of the Old Testament in the New Testament, those words will show up in a bolded font. And if you don't have cross references, even the footnotes sometimes will tell you why it has a bold text on it. Like this one is 1816. So if I look down here, 1816 has the cross-reference there. And I think also if there's a cross-reference note here, which says 6 and H, which means that 6 is your footnote reference, and the H, I believe, is your cross-references. So 1816H, and these are the cross-references that go right along with that Old Testament quotation. Very nice. Very nicely done. Go on to Luke, John, Romans. And this text, the only issue I could see, I really like the idea of my wife's new journaling set that she fell in love with, is the spiral, that you could fold it. Something like this, you can't really fold behind it. And I could see it being an issue if you're right-handed, writing on that left page. But that lets you come farther over toward the middle. I think you might have issues when you're writing near that margin. That's the only kind of drawback I could think. You know, vice versa, whether you're right or left-handed. If you're writing anywhere near that margin, I think is when you might actually run into an issue. But I do like how well this is laid out. Very tasteful, very clean. And being at a 9-point font, this is actually, I think, a little bit larger font than my other interleaved, which makes it a little bit more readable. And it helps that the font they're using is pretty crisp too. I do like how well this is printed. And as we get to the back of the Bible after the end of Revelation, it goes into a daily reading plan. So it breaks down a really easy to understand reading plan over a year period. And as we're looking at the plan, it is not broken out by day, but it's broken out by week. So you could tackle this plan, you know, however much you want to do per week and just check off as you go. That is an interesting little idea. I might have to try this style on one of my reading plans. Because it looks like you're getting an Old Testament, Psalms, and it doesn't look like there's Proverbs yet in these. So it looks like an Old Testament, a Psalm, and a New Testament in each. Most of the reading plans I have, it does the same thing. It breaks down an Old Testament passage, a New Testament passage, and a Psalm and a Proverb. So you're getting a nice mix every day. And it's interesting how it lines up sometimes. It's like right now, the last of the plan that I'm doing is breaking out to where I think the last week or week and a half, you're doing the minor prophets and Revelation together because they all kind of line with all of the warnings of the minor prophets into what you're finding in Revelation. So after that, they actually have optional readings for Easter and Christmas. So the days leading up to Easter and the days leading up to Christmas. It's very nice. And their CSB Concordance, which it looks like the text for the Concordance is slightly smaller, so this might be a 7. Maybe a 7 for it. So it may be a little bit harder to read, but they're packing a lot of information in here. So it's a part of the text and then the note. Some are doing a definition and some sections where there's more to look at for that. And then you have actual just direct references to things like drink, where drink water from your own cistern, eat, drink, and for tomorrow we die, and do this as often as you drink it. So yeah, it's very interesting. I do like this. Go a little bit farther in toward the back and take a look at the last of it, which is maps. Now they chose to use the same type of coloring on the pages for the maps. Maps are still printed well, but I think with the coloring, it seems like it's washed out, but that is just the color of the page. It's still very readable, very understandable, and it's keeping with that theme. One of the ones that I have in my other collection actually has white pages, and the rest of the actual note-taking section is a lighter or darker than the white on there. So it's kind of a little bit of a contrast. And you can see some of it here where the pages for the maps are just slightly darker than the rest of it. but it is a slightly heavier stock page as well, which could be what is accounting for that. You get your last page for the paste down and the rear of the Bible. So all in all, this is really well constructed. I like hardcovers. They tend to sit on a shelf a little bit more. So if you're using this as a note-taking to actually just take notes, and maybe you might keep it on a shelf, this would set very well, even though your average Bible, they recommend you try to store them horizontally if possible. But this does come with a really nice sleeve that you can just slip it in and out of. That would set on your shelf really well too, to hold it up. That works really well like on my CSB study Bible. So that is one of the ones that's a little bit more floppy, and that sleeve helps it hold up when you actually have it on a shelf. This looks really well, and I like this idea, the way that they're doing this. I could see somebody really enjoying this. And I know that there are members of my wife's group where they're doing verse mapping would really enjoy something like this. I mean, it sets well, and you can, as a reader, it's not bad. It's a little wide. So as you're holding it, if you're just holding in your hand to read, it still kind of holds really well. The text, that's 9.5, or I should say 9-point font, is what most of your average full-sized, more of a personal, which is like a full-size personal Bible. So it's the text block of a personal Bible, but the expanded reference and note-taking on the sides, which I really like this. They did a really good job on having this layout be really functional, in my opinion. I love the cross references. I like the way they did their font choices. The paper is really nice. The paper feels, it doesn't feel like that shiny Bible paper. So I think this would take very well to a pencil too, if you're using pencil for your notes. All in all, this is an excellent journaling Bible. And I would recommend definitely getting one of these if you're looking for a note-taking Bible. So with that, well, we ask you to do all the normal things of, liking, commenting, subscribing. Let us know if you like this Bible or if you have a different note-taking Bible that you use and you enjoy in the comments below. And with that, we hope that you have a nice day, night, evening, wherever you are. And we hope to see you in the next video.